Alright guys, hopefully you can see and hear me right now. That would be an indication that this is working properly. This is COM 205, summer 2015. I'm going to be your instructor. My name is Mohammed El Masri, and this is going to be it. This is going to be our format, our mode of instruction this term. It's going to be entirely online, as you guys know. We won't meet physically, but we'll meet in this format, and I think you'll like it because it's super convenient. What I'm going to do this term is record lectures with PowerPoint, and by the way, you'll be able to see the PowerPoints very clearly. I've done this before. Um, right now, you probably can't see the syllabus that's up that clearly. Um, it's because it's a Word document and whatever, which is why, by the way, because in this recording I'm going to be going through the syllabus, you probably want to stop right now, pause the video, and go print off the syllabus if you haven't done that already, because I'm going to go through that in this recording. But this semester or this term, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to record all of our lectures for every single one of our chapters in the textbook. I'm going to go through them one by one. I'm going to post them to the Canvas course website, and you can go in and watch those videos on YouTube. The great thing about this class and any online class is that it's super flexible. Um, you're going to be able to watch videos in the morning, in the evening, whenever you want. On the weekends, you can watch 2 in one day, you can watch 5 in one day if you want. Don't get behind because we have exams, but it's super flexible. The other nice thing about it is you're going to save a ton of time. When I lecture on chapter 1, for example, usually it takes me an entire class period, usually probably a class period and a half. So like an hour and 45 minutes or so to go through that, because I'm in class physically with the students and we're interacting with one another. There's discussion. Online, there is no discussion. So you're going to save a ton of time. I'm going to be able to fly through chapter 1 and chapter 2 and chapter 3 and so on pretty quickly with the PowerPoint right there. And by the way, I will post the PowerPoint to Canvas so that you can, in addition to seeing the PowerPoint on the screen, you can actually print off the PowerPoint slides and kind of follow along with me if you wanna do that. So it's really flexible. You're going to save a lot of time. I think you'll really like that part of it. But with that flexibility comes responsibility, because you're not going to be there with me. You're not going to be able to ask questions in class and feed off of other students for discussion. So what you are going to have to do is email me if you have a question. Come to my office hours, my virtual office hours, if you have a question. You got to get in touch with me whenever something is unclear, maybe something in the book, something in the PowerPoint, something that I said during the course of one of these recorded lectures. If it's not clear to you, then you want to make sure that you ask me about it, and try not to get behind. So you're going to probably you're going to have less time listening to lectures, but you'll probably put in a little bit more time than you normally would. Excuse me, just kind of the independent work that you have to do as a student. Excuse me. So what I want to do in this particular recording is just walk you through the syllabus. Do not blow this off. Don't close out of YouTube. This is very important. If you miss what I'm going to say today, you're going to end up being lost and behind, and there's a good chance you'll get on my bad side because you'll ask me a bunch of questions that I've already answered in this recording. So pay close attention, and if you haven't done so, print off this syllabus right now. You can pause the video and print off the syllabus. So I'm going to go through it. This is COM 205, Communication in a Global Age. It's kind of our introductory survey course in communications. And we are going to really look at a wide variety of mass communication related topics in this course. A lot of really interesting material. I think you'll enjoy it. The course is going to run from June 2nd to July 27th. So our final exam will be on July 27th, 2015, online. I mean, all of our exams, everything is online. As I said, I'm your instructor, Mohammed El Masri. I just a little bit about me. I'm from Minnesota originally, and I grew up there, went to school there. I did my undergraduate degree and my master's degree in journalism and mass communication at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities. And then I moved to Iowa for my PhD. I did my PhD at the University of Iowa. And then I moved overseas after I finished my PhD. I moved to Qatar in the Middle East. I taught at Qatar University for 2 years. And then I moved to Egypt. And I taught at the American University in Cairo for about 2.5 years before moving back to the U.S. and and beginning my teaching career here at UNA in August of 2014 of last year. So um, happy to be at UNA and adjusting to life in the South. It's been great so far, and looking forward to the future here. And I'm looking forward to teaching this class online. This is a new experience for me. I've never taught an entire course online, so this will be a lot of fun. So the best way to get a hold of me is through email, and this is the one of the maybe the nice things, but also one of the annoying things. So I could pause this right now, but I don't want to do that, and I'm like super thirsty, so I'm gonna go grab just a glass of water. So sorry, but you could fast forward through this if you want. This will be about 30 seconds. My bad. Sorry about that. Um, had to get this. My throat is dry, so I had to just take a sip. But anyways, my email address is right there. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I check my email pretty frequently, and you should as well, especially in a summer class. You want to make sure that you're checking your email really certainly at least once a day, but probably if you can get into the habit of once in the morning and once in the evening, that'd be great. Because I will send out emails from time to time with important announcements. So and you are responsible to see those and for whatever information I send out. I have my cell phone number included in the syllabus. That's the 651-399-5804 number. I talked to some faculty members, and there was kind of two opinions on this. Some people think, no, don't do that, because then some students might abuse it and they'll be calling you at 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever. And then some others are like, yeah, it's probably okay, and for a summer course, it might be a good idea. So I decided to include it. I hope that you guys don't call me at 3 o'clock in the morning, but and I hope that you use email first. But if you have to get a hold of me, and it's something urgent, I understand, and I'm not there on campus, and you can't walk into my office, and you can't call me in my office because I'm not there. Um, you know, I understand that it can be important sometimes to be able to you know talk with the instructor. So I have my cell phone number there. Feel free to call me or text me if you have something that's like relatively urgent that you need to get a hold of me for. So obviously the Office 123A Communications Building, I won't be there. That's there just for your reference for the future or whatever. But I won't be there this summer. I'll actually be in Minnesota. I'm still in Alabama right now as I'm recording this, but I'm leaving soon to go to Minnesota. So, and I'll probably record some of the lectures from here, and I'll probably record some of them from Minnesota. So, my office hours are going to be virtual by Skype, Monday through Thursday from 11 to 12 Central Standard Time. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 11 to 12 via Skype and by appointment. If 11 to 12 doesn't work for you, that's okay. I'll be flexible. We can do it earlier. We can do it later. We can do it in the evening, a Skype chat or whatever, as long as it's not too late. Whenever you need to meet, we'll be able to work that out. And just always, send me an email and let me know, you know, I'd like to meet on Skype. You know, what time, what day and time would work best for you, and we can set something up that way. Um, but what you have to do is download Skype. This is going to be our first assignment of the semester. It's in the syllabus. You'll see it in a minute here. But you're going to have to download Skype if you don't already have it on your computer, and then you'll have to create a Skype account if you don't have one, and then you'll have to add me as a contact on Skype. And my Skype name is Mo Masry. That's Momasry. That's my Skype name. If you just do a little search for me in the, if you go into Skype and then I think you go to contacts, and then there's an option for add a contact, and then you can search for people. Just type in Mo Masry, Momasry, and I'll come up. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one. And add me, and then I will accept your contact request, and then we'll be contacts. But here's the thing. Here's the thing with the office hours. I don't necessarily want to every day be obligated to sit in front of my computer from 11 to 12 in the event that you happen to want to meet with me. What I'd like to know is, in advance, I'd like to know who's planning on coming to my office hours. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I want you to send me an email, right, and tell me, I plan on attending your office hours tomorrow, or today, or this afternoon, or whatever. And that will cue me to make sure that I'm in front of my computer at that time. The reason why I'm doing that, guys, is because what ends up happening, to be honest with you, is that 90% of the time, as you guys probably know this, nobody shows up to a lot of these office hours sessions, right? Except, right around like when assignments are due or when there's an exam or something like that. But on a typical day, a lot of people don't come. So I don't necessarily want to just be sitting there if I don't have to be. So please send me an email letting me know that you plan to come to my office hours. Now, let's say you realize, oh my God, it's 11 o'clock or it's 11:15, and I want to talk to the instructor, and I haven't emailed him. That would be a good time to send me a text and just be like, hey, can we meet on Skype real quick? And by the way, totally flexible. That's totally cool. And believe me, you will not have a problem getting a hold of me, and you will not have a problem meeting with me if you want to meet with me. I think that's my obligation toward you, or one of my obligations toward you, is to make sure that I'm accessible. So that would be one of the cases where a text message or whatever would be perfectly fine. And I'm always with my phone or whatever. So feel free to do that. But again, just to reiterate, when you plan on coming to my office hours, the virtual office hours on Skype, drop me an email or a text if it's like late in the game, and let me know that you plan on coming, that you want to meet with me, and I'll make sure that I'm online and on Skype. And then for those that haven't used Skype before, it's really easy to use. It's just a web chat. You guys probably all know what it is, but I mean, we can talk, we can see one another. So you could, if you need to show me something, you could email me the document, whatever, and I could look at it. So we won't have any problems there, I'm sure. I've already said that email is the best way to get in touch with me. These are some key summer dates that you can look at kind of at your own leisure. This is the textbook. You should already know this. I hope you already have it by the time you're watching this video. I sent out an email on, I think it was May 18th, telling you what the assigned textbook was or is. It's the Converging Media textbook by Pavlik and McIntosh, the 4th edition. That's the edition that I'm going to be working from. So, sometimes students ask me, well, what if I have an older edition? I understand that cost is an issue. These textbooks are not cheap. That's unfortunate. I recommend that you get the current, the 4th edition, because that's what I'm going to be working from. Now, if you get the 3rd edition, you're not necessarily going to be totally lost. You probably realize that they don't make a ton of changes between editions, especially just one edition, like if it's the 3rd edition. But they do tend to add stuff. sometimes they'll change, the chapter headings. They'll change the topics of chapters around or whatever. So it could get pretty dicey. If you were gonna do that, what I would do, and I haven't studied the third edition, so I don't know. But what I would do if I were planning on using the third edition, because to try to save money, is I would make sure to get both copies at least for a day. Go to a bookstore or whatever, or like at the UNA bookstore, and just compare them side by side. If you notice that they're totally different, like if chapter 4 in one book is totally different from chapter 4 in the other book, that would not be good, because I'm going to test you basically on the textbook, on the chapters, right? Which I'm going to explain in the lectures, but you have to read, so you have to do the assigned readings. That's an important part of the class. So let me just say this: I strongly urge that you get the fourth edition of the Pavlik and McIntosh text. It's at the bookstore. I probably shouldn't say this, but you already know it, and a lot of you already do this. But you could get the book online. It's usually cheaper, and you can also rent it online for I don't remember how much it costs, but I know that it's a fraction of the cost of purchasing the book. So those are options available to you. That is the textbook, and there's a link here to some study materials, review materials that you could use. Our final exam is on Friday, the 27th of July. We'll talk about that later as the term progresses. This is a description of the course. I'll just read that for you. This is a foundation course in communication, placing U.S. media in a global perspective and examining both human and technological impact on communication. Students study the importance of human communication and mass communication message distribution through books, newspapers, magazines, recordings, movies, radio, television, and the internet, and the messages carried through news, PR, and advertising. The course emphasizes the relationship of media and democracy, ethical decision making, the diversity of audiences, and the global impact of communications. So that's a lot of stuff, but that's kind of the nature of this course. It's a survey course. So we're going to have a section on newspapers, a section on book publishing, a section on magazines, a section on movies, entertainment media. We're going to talk about theories of mass communication and mass communication effects, and so on and so forth. So and to get a really good idea, one good idea to get a feel for the course material is to look through the textbook, right? Page through it, or look at the table of contents and see kind of some of the subject matter. As I've already mentioned, the course will be taught online. I'm going to post these lectures. You're going to be able to watch them on YouTube. Super convenient. You'll have the PowerPoint there. You could print it off. You'll also see the PowerPoint very clearly on your screen. You might not be able to see this syllabus very clearly right now because it's just the way it works in this program that I'm using. The PowerPoint is super clear, but the syllabus, it might be a little bit small. You might not be able to read it as clearly. So, but the lecture, I think the lecture format is going to be really convenient and neat for you, and like I said, it's going to be super flexible. And as I mentioned here, I'm just reminding you, the Skype bit is very important because that's when you'll have a chance to interact with me via my virtual office hours. So make sure that you do that. Make sure that you check Canvas regularly. You get little emails. Make sure you check your email. That's important. But you'll get little emails that tell you when I've made an announcement or posted something to Canvas. So make sure you check those. That's your responsibility. If you have questions at any time about whatever related to the course, drop me an email and or stop by my office hours, my virtual office hours, and I'll answer whatever questions you have. Computer requirements, you have to have a computer that you have access to, and you have to be able to have a good, reliable internet connection. Otherwise, this is just not going to work. So you could use the computer lab on campus, you could use a library if you don't have your own computer, but you do need access to a computer to take this course. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. These are the course objectives. I'll let you read through these on your own. I'm not going to go through them right now, but I do want you to read through them. That'll give you a good idea of what you're going to come out of this class with. There are 11 objectives. I've got to say something about academic honesty and student conduct. I take academic honesty very seriously. Probably the worst part of my job is having to bust people for cheating. I've had to do it, unfortunately, on many occasions. Usually for cheating on papers, but sometimes for cheating on exams. And you don't want to deal with those consequences. It's just not pleasant. I mean, it could include anything from being dismissed from the university to something lesser, like failing the class or at least failing that assignment, getting a 0 on that particular assignment. So it's just not worth it. I just don't think it's fair when people cheat. If you don't know what plagiarism is, I suggest that you go on to Google right now and start reading about plagiarism, because a lot of people don't know what plagiarism is. Anytime you use somebody else's ideas, you need to cite that person. You need to give them credit. And especially if you take their words, if you take their exact words, you have to quote them, right? You've got to directly quote people when you are taking their words, whether they said something in writing or they said something in a lecture, in an interview, in a speech, even in a conversation with you. You need to cite that person. So that's very, very important. You're going to have to write some papers for this class, 3 of them to be exact. And I expect your writing to be, this is a university class, and I expect your writing to be of a high quality. That is one of the things that I will grade you on. It's not just the content, it's also the clarity, the structure, the organization, and the overall writing quality. So make sure that you have correct spelling, correct style and syntax, grammar. We do have a writing center at UNA, the Center for Writing Excellence. You can go to that link and learn more about them, but they can certainly help you. And I know they help a lot of students at every semester with their assignments, their written assignments. When you turn in written assignments, make sure that you turn them in the following format: double spacing, standard 1-inch margins, and Times New Roman 12-point font. That should be a pretty simple instruction. For whatever reason, students sometimes miss that, and they end up turning in their papers in weird fonts and weird spacing. Sometimes they single space it. I like double spacing. It allows me just to play with the documents, write if I want to, write comments on them or whatever. So this is the format that I that I expect. Make sure you turn in your assignments on time. You have 3 assignments. You have 3 papers in this class. They're short papers, 2 pages each, 1.5 to 2 pages each, and just make sure you turn them in on time. You're going to email them to me. You won't be there to physically hand them to me, but I want you to email them to me by the due dates, and we'll look at that in a minute here when we get to the schedule. I've already talked about Canvas. You are responsible for whatever emails I sent out via Canvas. By the way, this has been a problem in the past. Sometimes students don't check the email address that is registered with the university and that I have on Canvas. That's the email address that I'm going to send you stuff to. So make sure that that's the email that you're checking for the purposes of this class. I understand that people have, Gmail and Hotmail and Yahoo and whatever. Make sure you're checking whatever email address is listed with UNA and that's listed on the Canvas site. All right, that's registered. I've already talked about email. And here are the assignments for the class. I'm sure this is the part that probably most interests students. They want to know what is going to be required of them. So the first assignment, the first 2 assignments are really simple. They're worth 15 points. The info academic honesty policy assignment, and then the Skype and email assignment. So for the info, the information sheet, and academic honesty policy assignment, all you have to do is go to the bottom of this syllabus and sign. And you can just be in Microsoft Word, just type in your name, read, and then sign the 2 documents that are at the end of this syllabus. Read them and sign them, and then send me an email with those documents attached, right? With your name kind of printed in there. If you want to sign it and scan it to me, you can do that, but you don't have to. I just want to make sure that you've read those. And that's due, you can see it right there, June 5th at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. I expect an email from you at that time, or by that time. And I'll just show you those really quickly. There's the information sheet. You can see that. It's just asking about little information about you. And then this is the academic honesty policy. And there's where you print your, you don't have to sign it here. You can just print your name on that line right there. So those are 2 pretty easy assignments. That's one pretty easy assignment, I should say. The second assignment, which is also easy, is the Skype and email assignment. This is due actually sooner. It's actually due earlier than the other one. This is due on June 3rd. So the second day of classes by 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. And for this assignment, you have to download Skype if you haven't already done so. If you don't have it, you have to create a Skype account if you don't have a Skype account. By the way, I'd prefer, if you already have a Skype account with some nickname or whatever, fine. But if possible, if you're just creating a new account, if you could just use your name, just because it'll be easier for me to identify you that way. Like if your name is, Sally James, like your Skype name would be Sally James. Sally James UNA or something like that. But if everybody's like, Cool Dude 95, then that gets kind of confusing because I don't remember. It's not easy for me to identify you with that. So, but anyways, download Skype, create a Skype account, and then add me as a Skype contact. So again, go up to contacts, find a contact, or I think it's called add a contact, and then search for my name. My Skype name again is Mo Masri, and I have a link there to where the spot where you can download Skype. I think when you go there, it'll ask you if you have a Mac or a PC, so it's different, obviously. So just make sure you download the correct version and add me, and we'll be good to go. And that's how we're gonna meet during my office hours, whenever, or by appointment, whenever you want to talk about something related to the course. Once you've done this, what I want you to do is send me an email, a very short and sweet email that says, I have downloaded Skype, and tell me what your Skype name is, and also confirm for me that you've added me or that you've sent me an invitation on Skype. So again, tell me you've downloaded Skype, that you've sent me an invitation to add me as a contact, and tell me what your Skype name is. And then the fourth thing is make sure it's somewhere in the email, like your real name, your full name, first and last name is included on your email. You'd be amazed at how many times I get emails from students and they don't include their names. So always sign your names when you send your instructor an email. So that's 10 points. Look right here. It doesn't get any easier than this. You get 15 points right there. It's not a ton of points, but it's 15 points. It can affect your grade. And everybody should get 15 out of 15. If you're late, you're going to lose points. If it's incomplete, if you haven't done as I've outlined here, you're going to lose points. So make sure you do these correctly. If you have questions, drop me an email and let me know. We're going to have 3 in-semester exams. We're going to have an exam on chapters 1 through 5. Then we'll have an exam on chapters 6 through 10. And then we'll have an exam on chapters 11 through 14. Okay? 3 exams, 100 points each. Now here's the good news for you. I'm going to drop your lowest scoring exam. So you're actually only going to be graded on, at the end of the day, or scored on, excuse me, 2 exams. So it's going to be 200 points basically for the in-semester exams. Now, we also have a final exam. So really, you're going to be taking 4 exams this term, okay? So we have 3 in-semester or in-term exams, and then we have the final exam. You're not going to be able to drop the final exam, but you're going to be able to drop one of the 3 in-term exams, the chapter exams, okay? The final exam, by the way, is a cumulative, a comprehensive exam. It's going to test you on everything. But frankly, I draw from a lot of the same questions that I've asked you in the first 3 exams. So if you've been keeping up, you shouldn't have a lot of difficulty. A lot of the time, students in this class do better on the final exam than they've done on the in-semester, in-term exams, right? Because by then it's kind of it's in your mind and it's fresh. So just make sure you keep up and make sure that you try hard on all of the in-semester exams. The mistake that I see some people make is they blow one of the exams off because they figure, well, I get to drop one anyways. That's a problem because then you end up being hurt on the final because then that material is not that material is weak. You're not as strong on that particular material, that particular set of chapters. So, and the exams are going to be multiple choice and true false questions. Maybe I might throw in some short answer questions. We'll see. Make sure you study the chapters and study these lectures that I'm going to be posting to YouTube. You're going to have 3 different assignments. I'll talk more about the assignments as we get closer, but these are just brief papers, 1.5 to 2 pages in length. The first one is a international news reflection. I just want you to identify an ongoing international news story, okay? Something that's ongoing and something that is international. So it's not just about the United States. It's international. Like, for example, something about ISIS, right? That's an ongoing story, right? ISIS, maybe the war campaign right now in Yemen. You know, there are a bunch of other coalition countries that have been bombing ISIS in Yemen. That would be an example. But I want you to identify some international news story. And what I want you to do is read a bunch of different articles, print articles, like from the New York Times and the Washington Post, and maybe some newspapers in Europe, maybe the Guardian or the Independent or the Times of London or whatever. Read a bunch of different print articles, and then I want you to kind of familiarize yourself with the issue. And then I want you to write a brief reflection paper specifically examining coverage in 3 separate print articles in 3 different newspapers. That's important. So you might end up deciding on the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, and the Chicago Tribune. 3 different stories about ISIS in those 3 papers, or about whatever your international story is. It doesn't have to be ISIS. It could be whatever, some ongoing international story. And, you know, it could be about the story with, you know, these Rohingyas in Myanmar who have been basically kind of kicked out of their land and they're at sea. I'm saying this right now in the middle of May, or about whatever today is, May 19th. So that's been a big story in some newspapers for the last few days. But anyways, whatever you decide on, you're going to kind of compare the coverage in these 3 newspapers. What did the newspapers decide to focus on? What did they lead with? Who did they quote? Who did they source? Right? How did they frame things? Who do they seem to be sympathizing with? Who do they seem to be antagonistic toward? Right? Compare the articles. You'll find some similarities, but I think you'll also find some differences. That's the first assignment. And the schedule tells you exactly when that's due, and I'll show you that in a minute. This assignment is actually, this is a typo. This assignment is actually worth, this is why it's important to pay attention. And I'll repost the syllabus, so maybe you'll have the corrected version by the time you see this. But, excuse me, these assignments are worth 45 points each, not 40 points each. Okay, so the second one is an entertainment media reflection. Here again, 1.5 to 2 pages. I want you to identify some entertainment media issue. It might be movies, video games, music, something in American society, entertainment media in the United States, and I want you to reflect on it. Doing some research. I mean, this is a research kind of paper. You have to do some background research. I don't want you just to send me like your opinion on music, right? Or your opinion on movies or what you think about Hollywood. I want you to tell me what research, what scholars have been saying about maybe the effects of violent movies, the effects of excessive video game play on people. Maybe you want to talk about the trends in music or music videos. Maybe you want to talk about what scholars are saying about how much Americans consume entertainment media. There have been research papers about that, about how arguably we spend too much time entertaining ourselves. I mean, I'm just giving you examples. You pick whatever you want related to entertainment media, do some background research, and reflect for me. 1.5 to 2 pages. Any questions on any of these assignments, send me an email, and I'll be happy to explain further. We could talk about it more in my office hours, my virtual office hours. On the last one, which is due right at the end of the term, really, you're going to watch a little documentary. This is the link right here. From your computer, you should be able to just click on this and the link will open up. If not, you can just kind of copy and paste this link into your browser. This is a documentary called Generation Like. I want you to watch it and then summarize the main arguments in about a page or a page and a half, and then I want you to provide a little critical reflection of the main argument. Do you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Is it strong? Is it weak? Relate it to the real world? Some critical reflection in about a half page. So this total should be about a page and a half to 2 pages. Excuse me. So hopefully that's clear. Again, if not, drop me an email. I'll talk more about it. Oops. Here's your final course grade. This is what it's going to be based on. We have 500 points. The 3 semester exams or term exams, remember, I'm going to be dropping one of them, so that's only 200 points. You're basically going to be graded on your your 2 best exams. So that's 200 points. You got the 2 short assignments for 15 points that I've talked about. Then you got these 3 papers at 45 points each, right? That's 135 points. Then you've got the final exam, which is 150 points. That adds up to 500 points. So your final exam is basically 30% of your grade. The 2 exams that you're going to be graded on are 20% each, or a total of 40% of your final grade. And it's a standard scale. 90 to 100 is an A, and so on and so forth. You can see that. And here's the schedule. I'm not going to go through this in a lot of detail right now. I'll alert you to some things, but I want you to study this. Like, this should be, like, print it off and put it on your bulletin board or on your refrigerator or something, because you have to know, excuse me, what's in this schedule. This is important. This is like your contract. For example, let's just look at week 1. You have to read chapter 1. You have to read chapter 1. That's your reading assignment. Make sure you watch the lesson or lessons that I post, the video recorded lectures that I post on chapter 1. I'll probably divide it up into 2 or 3 lectures just so it's shorter. Make sure you do the Skype and email assignment. That's due on June 3rd. And then you have the honesty statement and information sheet assignment due on June 5th. Again, both of those via email. Send those to me. Send me emails on those. The second week, no assignments due, but you've got chapters 2 and 3, and so on and so forth. The first reflection paper is due on Wednesday, June 17th by 4 p.m. Email it to me by Wednesday, June 17th, 4 p.m. That first reflection paper. And we have our first exam. You can see it right there, chapters 1 to 5. The exam, I'll talk more about it later in a future recording, but it's going to be online. You're going to log into Canvas and take the exam. and it's going to be timed. So, you know, if you're thinking about cheating, don't do that. It'll make your life really difficult, and you won't be able to do it. I mean, because you're gonna have like a minute. Well, it'll be actually be less than a minute per question. So you won't even have time to like look up notes or whatever. That exam is going to be again online via Canvas, and I'll talk more about that as we get closer to that date. But that first exam is Monday, June 22nd. So you've got a nice little break here. That first assignment, that first big assignment is June 17th. Then you have 5 days until the exam. So I tried to space it out a little bit. And that's going to be on chapters 1 through 5. So make sure you keep up. You're reading, you're watching the lectures on time. Then we start with the next set of chapters. We get into chapters 6 and 7, and we get into chapters 8 and 9. You've got your second brief paper due on July 2nd. Then you've got chapter 10, and then the exam 2, on chapters 6 through 10. That's going to be on July 7th, again on Canvas. What happens is I open up the exam, and you can just go in sometime on that day at your convenience and take the exam on Tuesday, but it's got to be Tuesday, July 7th. Otherwise, what happens is I open it, and then I think it's like at 11:59 on Tuesday night, the exam, it closes. And you only get one shot at it. You can't like close out and go back in. You have to like take the exam right then and there and finish it once you go in. And again, it is timed. And then we go through chapters 11, 12, 13, and then 14, and then we have our exam on chapters 11 through 14, exam number 3. That's on July 23rd. Please note that you have your third paper due on July 20th. So here again, I tried to have some spacing. I should probably reverse the order so it's not confusing. There. So you've got the paper due on the 20th, and then you've got 3 days. You got that exam on Thursday, the 23rd, on chapters 11 through 14. And then finally, then you'll have 4 days in between here to study for the final. You'll have your final exam on the 27th of July. Please read this student accommodation statement on your own time. That's very important. Please read that. In accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act and Section 504, this university is obligated to offer reasonable accommodations to students who have documented learning, physical, or other disabilities. So please read that. There's also a Title IX statement here that you should read. No harassment. I mean, it's probably more difficult for harassment to take place online, but there is online harassment, and we will have none of it in this classroom. So please read that, or in this class, I should say. And then this at the end, I've already showed you this, but this is just the information sheet, and then the academic honesty policy right at the end. Those are the two things that you need to print off, or actually you don't need to print them off. I should say you should just sign them, fill them out here, sign them. Write your name in. Just type your name in, I should say, in Microsoft Word, and then email those to me for that first assignment. So, anyways, that's basically it. That's the end of this recorded session. It took about 45 minutes or so, it looks like. And let's see if I can stop this. Bye.